Okay. Hello, hello, hello.
Okay.
All right.
It's all right. There we go. Yeah.
What's up, man?
I can't hear you.
You can't? Uh-oh.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, I can't hear you. You're on mute.
Try this. I can hear me. You can hear me. How about...
Yeah, your status looks still on mute.
But we try this real quick. 1 sec. How about...
Nope. You still have a... Nope. You still
Can you hear me if you go there?
If I go there, I'm gonna lose.
Oh, you on the phone? See.
Let me check to see what it looks like on YouTube.
Yeah. Because I can hear...
Oh yeah, I can hear you on YouTube.
Cool. All right. Yeah, it's kind of funny like that. So
now it's a delay. All right.
but
I heard you last time via Zoom. So, want me to log out and log back in?
no, I don't. I really think that there are some gremlins out there that are trying to shut this down.
Weird. Your icon on Zoom is on mute.
I know.
I'm gonna log out and log back in and see if that solves it, because I can't be on YouTube because it's like a minute lag. So yeah.
All right, hold up.
I can read lips a little bit. That's from my Secret Service training. But
right.
I'm gonna leave and then come back.
All right.
Yep.
Can you hear me?
Still shows you on mute. Zoom shows you on mute.
Yeah, try that other one. So let's switch over to that. So
that's weird. Are you unmuted on Zoom? The app?
there are some glitches with Zoom, but let's try StreamYard. Just going straight through StreamYard.
Yeah, I can't.
I sent the link.
My computer probably work, but if I talk now and if I go on YouTube, it'll be like a whole minute delay.
No. I'm saying the same way that I send an invite.
Yeah, I can't hear you. I'm reading your lips.
Let's see. Mm-hmm. Let's do this one.
Okay. I don't have StreamYard, so I may need to I have to get the, let's see if I, oh, let me enter. All right. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
You can hear me?
Yeah, now I can.
Aha. Hold on now. Now see, now we're doing funny stuff now. I gotta stop the Zoom.
I can still see you on Zoom too. Both apps are running concurrently.
Okay. So we'll just leave the Zoom to be zooming and do whatever. But
yep.
Now let's check out, how do I look on the YouTube? Now let me add you to the state. Haha. See? Look at that.
Yeah. Right.
All right.
Yep.
Oh wow. So since it's just the two of us, this works out perfectly.
The two
right. All right. After much trials and tribulations, good evening, everybody. My name is Mark Peters. I'm the founder and director of Progress for All, 501c3 nonprofit devoted to voter education on ballot issues. We also do voter registration as well. If you go to www.pfa.global, you will see a list of information for each and every state and territory in the United States on how to register for your local election upcoming. And with me is Darian Doc Wheeler. He is the president and CEO of Media Covenant LLC, but he's also a board member on the board of directors for Progress for All, along with myself.
Yep.
And we have been doing a series of monthly town hall events. We've been sending an invitation out to different folks to ask questions, and we had great participation first round out with people from Arlington County, NAACP in Arlington County, Virginia, Alexandria, Virginia, NAACP, Theta Lambda chapter, Alpha Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, my fraternity's chapter, as well as the Phi Nu Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. And we have done great things since then. The first town hall was just general issues surrounding Black male voters. The second one was more focused on re-entry and re-enfranchisement. And this current town hall we're doing tonight, we are focused on the issue of gun control, gun safety. Yep. We were originally going to do that later. We were going to do affordable housing next and then deal with gun safety. But in light of recent events, we've decided to move it up. We all are aware of the issues in this country with the number of active shooter events that have occurred and the number of incidents, excessive force, deadly force incidents involving police and citizens, particularly citizens of color, particularly citizens who are Black folk, particularly Black men. And so we wanted to talk about this, not just from that perspective, that we want to have, let's say, more sensible gun safety laws, well, not necessarily a complete ban on all weapons like you may have in other countries. That's something that we definitely want people to debate and come to an equitable and an amicable solution at a later date. But for right now, it seems like when we had the assault weapons ban in place, there were fewer active shooter incidents. But beyond that, if we did something to address this culture, this gun culture that we have in this country, and to address mental health issues, we don't want to go off of the universal health care, mental and dental and all like that, but just addressing mental health issues and preventing people who shouldn't have guns in their hands at all from having them. That's something we need to talk about. But it's a very, very, very difficult, challenging issue, because think about what just happened in Illinois with Sonia Massey. Do you remember that, Doc? Right.
Yeah, in Springfield.
She called 911 because she did not feel safe. And we could tell from some of the ways that she was talking to the officers that I guess you could say that she's somebody who was saved, because there was a moment when she was cooking or doing something on the stove with some hot water, and the officers got a little bit aggro and was like, "You need to put that pot down." And she's like, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus." And the officer took that as apparently too much sass, and he went overboard and said, "You better not, I'm going to shoot you in the effing face," and ended up doing so. But then you wind it back a couple months, we had an incident in Florida with an airman named Roger Fortson, who is a legal gun owner, who got a knock on the door one afternoon and wasn't sure who it was. Come to find out, it was law enforcement checking up because allegedly there was some sort of domestic dispute. And he was immediately, he answers the door. He was FaceTiming with his girlfriend and his mom with his phone in one hand, but he also had his firearm out in the other because he wasn't sure what was going on.
Right.
So he opens the door up and he's immediately ordered to drop his weapon. But before he could even comply, shots were fired and he got taken out. And he was one of those people that you can't dig through his record and do a deep dive and say, "Oh, he's got this," or "He was doing drugs." No, he was active duty in the Air Force.
Yep.
Wasn't doing nothing bad to nobody. He was on the track to be like one of those rising stars. One of those people that you read about in the paper doing good things, and they cut him off. So it's a situation where it really is difficult to figure out what to do. Al Sharpton once said, "We got to watch out for the robbers and the cops." So you got to watch out for people who are not well, or people who have an agenda, who have access to firearms, and they act on that agenda. And then you also have people who have legal access to firearms as part of their job, and we don't know whether they're acting on an agenda or an implicit bias or what have you. And then you have July 13th, where it almost feels like chickens coming home to roost, where you have an individual at a rally who has used a lot of very incendiary rhetoric in the past. Yep. And ends up nearly getting assassinated by a member of his own party, a member
Correct.
of his own group, was beyond his team. So there's all these complexities that are swirling around, and what does this mean for us as Black men and the types of decisions we have to make at the ballot box? And I did drop some links to you in the chat, and I actually posted on the video if anybody else wants to click later and read through some of the articles I've been reading. So what are your thoughts with all of this going on?
I mean, I've been overall been reading and trying to, most and foremost, it seems as a lot of this comes down to mindset. I think you've kind of alluded to that. And if you're not in the right state of mind, in a reactive state, in a survival state, outside of a thriving state, then you act accordingly. So in all of the incidents, you have to take them, separately. You can't just, well, I don't want to say you can't. Sometimes it's not advantageous to generalize, but they do seem to have common themes. So you can break those and see where they connect and see where certain things disconnect. That's what makes kind of us professionals. Overall, though, I just circumvent back to mindset or state of mind at a certain time, historical things that lead up to certain events. Some things are, at the moment. This most recent, I did get a little emotional because, of course, the news markets and presents it, to get a reaction out of you. So I've learned to kind of calm that down and make sure that I get facts because of, tape. They only show certain clips, this or that. So as I'm understanding, it's about a 32-minute video.
Right.
And of course, we only see maybe 15 to 30 seconds of it. So outside of that, we know that someone did lose their life. I don't believe this person was armed. I don't believe this person was in close proximity to the officer when he did fire his weapon. I believe there were two officers in the vicinity, he and another officer in the actual house when it happened. I actually focused on the other cop. I think he was just as shocked when that happened.
Right.
So I also understand that the officer was terminated from his position.
Yeah.
And currently, as I also understand, the police department that he served thought that he should have used better judgment and was trained accordingly. And this was not part of their training or part of any training that I know. I have relatives that are police officers as well. That happens. You look at the fact, I don't want to generalize and I don't want to get into, hey, white, black. Of course, statistically,
right,
the deceased is black. However, I don't think it would have mattered what culture or background this person was. This person, as you mentioned, cried out for help, and help showed up, and the law showed up. I didn't foresee any immediate threat outside of hot water. So that's my take on it.
That's one thing, though, is that from the other officer's webcam, you could see how the shooter was starting to rationalize and say, well, I'm not going to get any hot water in my face thrown in my head. What I recall from watching that video is that the shooter drew his weapon, pointed
while she was crouched down.
Right.
On the ground.
She had put the pot down, She
Yeah,
wasn't trying
she
to throw it
wasn't.
on
Yeah,
anybody.
she wasn't in a position to throw anything, as she was crouched down,
Mhm.
kneeling down, and
She
apologizing at the same time,
she had
as
her
you can
hands up, just
hear.
like, I'm sorry. And she
Yes.
crouched down. And then the officer with the webcam on also drew his weapon. And so they were both screaming at her at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
down to the ground and drop the pot down. But she was already in a prone position, unarmed, no weapon, no water, and shots were fired.
Well, blanketly, uh, if you want to determine hot water as a weapon, feel free.
Mm-hmm.
But water versus, or scalding hot water versus bullet, the likely, if at all, circumstance happens, everyone survives with hot water
Mm-hmm.
uh, versus a bullet.
You need a lot of hot water.
Yeah, that was a pot of hot water, and we've tongue in cheek have
Mm-hmm.
seen where, hot grits may have been thrown on someone, in the movies. But I
As an
don't.
aside, Nat Turner was boiled to death and turned into grease. So that was a lot. That's about how much hot water you need. You need to dip somebody in. But go ahead.
Mm, correct. I mean, well, no, you make a good point. That's an extremity. That's an extreme case. And as the officer's validation on his actions, it was, I don't want hot water thrown at me, or which I interpret as, I don't want to be assaulted by hot water.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand. Not that I don't understand. I'm really just trying to evaluate all the circumstances of would have been going through this person's.
Uh-oh, you dropped. Oh, man. Trying to get again. Are you there? You dropped. Oh, shoot. Dang. Going back. Mm-hmm. Damn. Do, 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 do. While we are waiting, what can we do? Do, 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 do. We can read through things. Try to present this tab. And share screen. So, Brookings. All right. Drop. Come back. It's Brookings. All right.
You hear me?
Yeah. Yeah,
All right,
man.
let me go back to StreamYard. Hold on 1 second.
Okay. Do, do, do.
My phone actually overheated.
Ooh. It's not good when your phone overheats. Okay, there you go.
Okay,
All
can you
right.
hear me?
Yeah, I can
So,
hear you.
that was actually a demonstration, unintended and unintentional. So, I have my phone sitting on the screen in my car, and the screen is actually hot. So
Ooh.
my phone got hot. It also coincides with the topic of hot and water and shutting down. So, um, coincidence? No, I don't think so. It's kind of crazy. So, but no, just as my phone shut down because it was hot, I was able to cool it down, and now we're back. I again circumstantial. I just think cooler heads should have prevailed at that. Someone lost their life. That was a mother,
Yeah.
sister, brother. Sorry, mother, sister, aunt, and child of someone. I don't know the mental state, and again, we've seen that also, how to handle people in that condition or in that state. But to your point, the position that she was in when the gun was fired, it wasn't in a threatening position.
Right.
I also look at the distance of of the
Just point
victim,
blank.
very point blank. But I don't think she was very. Oh crap! Hold on one second. Gosh,
Okay.
hold on.
So yes, it was point blank range. And one thing that I noticed is that I actually saw shades of Sandra Bland incident where you had some egos butting up against each other. And when they were doing that, the ego with the gun wanted to be more dominant.
One second.
And that being said, wanted to take control of the situation. I'll wait for Doc to come back before I run my mouth anymore.
Okay, sorry about that.
It's all good. It's all good. So I was just talking. I was saying, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but now
That
nobody
it
can see
felt.
me. Oh,
it's, it's all good, man. It that I saw shades of Sandra Bland in that incident, this most recent incident with Sonia Massey.
yeah,
That you got two egos that are kind of butting up against each other. In the case of Sandra Bland, she didn't want to be there. She got pulled over. But in this case, calling somebody into my home because I don't feel safe. And then the interaction went on a little bit longer than I expected, and I started to get exasperated. And so as I'm getting a little bit irritated, like, yeah, time to go,
dang it.
they're getting more irritated as well. And uh-oh, drop. Let me see here. So I can see you on Zoom.
Yeah, I'm
We
back.
gotta get back
No,
on.
every time my phone switches, yeah, I need to get the app. So
I don't know if there is an app.
yeah, it's asking me to get the app for StreamYard.
Oh, for real? Okay. Man,
Yeah.
I need to get
Yep.
that myself.
Yep.
But while you download the app in the background, yeah, it's kind of like whether you're talking about Sandra Bland or you're talking about Sonia Massey. In both incidents, the officer seemed to get irritated that th- this this person doesn't have any act right in them. If you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean,
That
blanketly, as I hear with a lot of officers, when they're called on the scene, they want to establish authority.
mm-hmm,
And some authority needs a little bit of discussion. Sometimes there is no need for a back and forth. Um, and I also hear, put something down, but there's a lot of instantaneous thoughts and actions that happen all at once, and it's long and short at the same time. But when officers that I've heard and listened to, when they show up on the scene, they want to establish authority and get the situation under control. Well, they were in the house for 30 minutes and they were outside. And as I'm understanding, she went back inside to turn the pot off.
Hmm.
So I don't know what would have escalated in that short amount of time. Again, the news only shows, it doesn't show the everything in its entirety. So again, I can't make a quote unquote judgment. It's just
Right.
the aftermath, and the result is someone is dead from an assault. They did not have a weapon. They were, I hate to even point this out. I think just the fact that she was female also sparked emotion. But also, I mean, the president of the United States, made reference to it, and his own police department made reference. So it was an unfortunate situation, and I hate to make it seem not nonchalant, but not as grave. But as it states, it's a very unfortunate situation, and law enforcements, which want to be supported, often this really um, degrades their um, vote of confidence in the community.
Okay, question for you. Couple questions, but one by one. How do you think it would have played out if Sonia Massey had a firearm, even though she called police, said she didn't feel safe, and she's like,
Sure.
I got my gun out just in case because I wasn't sure when y'all was going to arrive. How do you think that would have
Um,
played out?
it may have quickened the moment, meaning, well, not in the two things. One, it could have still ended up the same. However, the quicken of the moment, what I mean is she may have been in handcuffs right away
Mm,
so that they could assess the situation further, regardless if she was a legal carrier or not.
mhm.
Police often feel threatened when someone has a firearm, and they also. So
You
if she
think
would
she's the
have,
intruder,
yeah,
or
they
would they?
would have
That's
to.
my next question. Would they see an
I
intruder?
can't make that. I probably wouldn't be able to make that assessment. You're coming up to an unknown situation, and
Right.
as a police officer, I'm not sure how the neighborhoods are in Springfield, Illinois. Um, but walking into a situation, um, normally the communication is announced. Are there any weapons? Do you have anything, and this or that? They won't even approach if they've seen something like that. But if there is a weapon, it's you immediately drop your weapon or something like that. Um, I am not sure if I'm quick to fire. As many police officers, as I assess or I assume, I'm going to make an assumption on my own perspective, not knowing its own. I believe it's communicated first, but as we oftentimes see fire aim, you know,
Mm-hmm. Philando
and
Castile.
yeah, so it's not a second, it's survival mode. It's out in the woods. It's not police officer trained
Mm-hmm.
mentality that's walking up. Again, put the scenarios in many different, I'm an officer or you're an officer, you walk up to a situation and someone does have a gun. They're not shooting it. There might not be in a posture, but I'm immediately communicating what needs to be communicated about dropping their weapon, and I need them to understand that, okay, it is or whatever. So it's kind of
You
hard to
start to.
assess. I think, yeah, I would have liked if she may have been carrying or revealed the weapon at the time. Then the police officers, for their own safety, would have quickened the moment and possibly handcuffed. Or again,
Mhm.
it could have been quickened that she would have lost her life more rapidly. Um,
Right.
so there is twofold. I would have liked the first option that would have, or again, it could have been All right, I'm gonna use my own personal scenario. I was put in handcuffs in my own home at a certain time. Although frustrated, and no, it wasn't recent, and no, it wasn't about a stealing or anything like that. It was again to control the situation. So officers thought at best, let's just put you in a position where I am not a threat to anyone. I didn't get shot, although frustrated, and I wasn't in handcuffs for very long. However, when you're in your house that you own,
Right.
it is that. So, and I wasn't married, I didn't have kids at the time, or nothing like this. Was, post college during a situation where someone was looking to hide a roommate and it involved my roommate. So that's if let's clear the air there for any suspicion. But yeah, I was put in handcuffs just so that officers can get a gist of the situation. Didn't like it, but I'm here. I
But
think if
see,
I
go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say it. I think if, possibly I was in a different neighborhood, I'll just say that, where a credit score of 750 or above, let me say that, it may have been different. I may not have been put in handcuffs, and there may have just been conversations.
That leads into my next question.
Mm-hmm.
What if Sonia Massey were Sylvester Massey? What if it were a dude instead of a lady? How would it play out? Taking it back to, black male voter outreach in our town
Sure,
hall
sure, sure,
topic of
sure,
gun
sure.
control for black men.
Yeah, I mean, I think I honestly, Sonia Massey was African American male in the same played out in the same scenario. I don't think it may. I don't want to say it like this. I know that that's the topic. I think the officer in this state of mind would have reacted in the same way. I don't. I think Massey, whether male or female, is just a variable, and
Mhm.
I think it was just the circumstance of his state of mind at the time. But let me answer that. And this is again my opinion only. Um, he was at the same age during that time, and I'm looking at the state and the circumstances. If he would have told him to put it down, I think the outcome would have been the same. Now, if he was carrying and showed a weapon, it may have also I would give it a high percentage that he may have also been shot.
Right.
But just the fact of boiling hot water, yeah. I mean, it's
But
all. It just seems like here we go again. Here we go again.
yeah, 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 yeah. But
So
it for me, it kind of it gets to what you were saying before about neighborhoods, credit scores. That I think it's maybe a little bit more than a neighborhood and a credit score. But when dealing with certain populations where the environment lends itself to the officer feeling a little bit less aggro,
hmm
then perhaps they're less likely to escalate up the force continuum, and we end up with that excessive force, deadly force incident. Somebody gets shot. And by saying certain populations, it could be populations in a particular neighborhood with a particular credit score. It could be a
yeah,
population with a particular demographic, particular ethnicity,
yeah.
or yes, a particular race.
They somewhat all coincide. It's not
Right.
one to one. It's not definite, but there are similarities and ties, and you can make quick generalizations, not judgments, though. And I think that is what the news perpetuates, judgments instead of thoughts and educational words. Um, and it sparks controversy. I mean, that's how the news makes its money, in a sense, to get viewership and things of that nature. They report quote unquote facts, but they report bits of pieces. But going along with gun violence, this gun violence was actually in someone that had authority and should have had gun control.
Mhm.
And I think the partner reacted to his partner, maybe seeing, are you seeing something that I don't see? Um, so yeah, I'm not taking up for his partner. But I think from what I felt from the video, it seems as if his partner was a little shocked and didn't understand what was going on.
Okay, so I'm gonna go to another scenario. So you remember way back, about 20 years ago, 22 years ago, we had the Beltway sniper. Do you recall that?
John Malvo?
John Lee
Mhm.
Malvo and John Allen Muhammad,
Yeah.
and everybody was thinking it was like
Caucasian.
an old white man in a beat up white van running around shooting people, as
Yes,
opposed to it.
because that was the demographic that, I mean, certain events were going on at the time where that um, particular persona of someone that would do something like that fit that MO. So yeah, that's why everyone thought no, it was someone Caucasian, because normally in the news, killing sprees, there was someone normally Caucasian.
Right. So now take it forward to July 13th.
Hmm.
What if the shooter on the rooftop at uh, the
Pennsylvania.
Trump event, yeah, the shooter at the
Hmm.
rooftop in Pennsylvania, uh, were a black man? And
Hard to even
how
fathom.
that info? Go ahead, hard to fathom.
We, I want to say yes, because visually, 20, 30 miles away, just our physical appearance, we would stand out. So I am not sure if they would have had an opportunity to even advance to that state
Mm.
unless the person was a local, lived there, maybe have been known, and populations of our demographic may be circled. I know that we have Trump supporters that are, or people that are at rallies that are not all Caucasian. So I'm not even excluding that. However, to do something like that the night before, and I think he was dressed in fatigues and all like that. Um, I just think visually we would have stood out. Well, and going back, even the young man stood out during that time against his own, not against his own, but against people that were at the event. They were
Did,
pointing him out. They were like, "What? Hey, this guy is doing something, and it shouldn't be this way." So that's that. If if it were if he were of darker shade, I think it would have been very much so escalated where he would not have had the opportunity to do one. I don't want to say plan that in advance, but hide a weapon the day before, and two, climb up. I think it would have been accosted, not assaulted, but he would have been confronted uh, very much prior to, unless again, circumstantially he lived there, someone knew, and there was a population that lived in that in that vicinity. So yeah, it didn't seem as if it was an anomaly at first until he started to climb up. But yeah, if he were, I don't think he would have gotten to the roof. I'll say that.
Hmm. So you're saying that as a resident amongst that particular population, as an African American resident amongst that particular population, you wouldn't really have the opportunity to gain access to that type of weapon, much less get
He
access
may,
to
well,
that
I think
space.
they would have had, I mean, access to the weapon or not, I don't think that wouldn't be a factor for me. I mean, could have came by it some sort of way. Either could have made certain type of weapon. I'm saying that, for instance, if I walk down neighborhoods that I am not normally frequent or visit, I
Yeah.
stand out. So what I'm saying is the night before and even the day of, he would have stood out. So
Hmm.
it would not have seemed normal. It would have been a target. One, just visually, we stand out against, well, we stand out against the majority who are not our same skin tone. So that's what I really mean by that. Not, I mean, you can call it racial, but just visual. So yeah,
It
I just
almost
don't think.
sounds like. Go ahead.
No, I
I'm
said
gonna
I just
let
don't think he
you-
would have had an opportunity to um, go forward and complete that type of mission the day before, or nor the day of.
It almost sounds like you're saying that even if he managed to get a weapon, even if he managed to get close enough to the venues of the space to be able to climb up on that building, as people were filming with their phones,
Right.
and they're saying, like, they're pointing out to, like, either law enforcement or somebody else in the crowd, hey, there's a guy up there, I don't think he's supposed to be up there.
No, they.
Would they feel emboldened to actually go up and try and pull him down
Well,
themselves?
that's
Would
what
they
I'm.
feel
That's what I'm getting.
deputized?
Yeah, no, that's what I'm getting at. It. He would not have. He would not have made it up that whatever concoction. I don't know if he used a ladder. I'm not exactly sure. He would not have gotten that far.
They would just
So
unite
like,
like
hey, you,
Voltron and,
hey, right to be like, hey, you film. I'm going to confront this person. Why are you getting on the roof?
yeah, hold my beer.
Yeah, I don't think it would have gotten that far. But I don't know. I mean, America is, you know, kind of a country where it's opportunistic in a sense. So, unfortunately, let me even go back even further. Um, Condolences to the family of the person, and the person that lost their life in that, number one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I honestly, I caught glimpses. I didn't know anyone. It was just made mention, hey, someone died, even though the focus is on, former president. Someone did lose their life.
Yep.
That person, I still don't know. Not that I need to know their name or anything like that, but it just seems like, hey, yeah, the president almost got assassinated and somebody died. That was, it was like secondhand. I saw in the Republican National Convention that this person was honored, but I still, news wise,
Mm-hmm.
I don't. He was a firefighter, or she was a firefighter. I'm not sure. I don't know who this
He.
person is. Yeah. So there's no. I don't say no name. I don't know if people want that. I just feel it shouldn't have happened. Number one, you don't want anyone to die. I don't care who it is, or assassinated in that sense, specifically in that way.
Mm-hmm.
So no, it should not have happened. Um, and to be planned the night before, and just what I mean by opportunistic, I think most people wanted to sell the video of this person climbing rather than trying to actually question and stop him. Not that not that I have to feel deputized to go and confront someone, but that's what I'm feeling. I don't think this person would have gotten an opportunity to climb up the roof.
His name is Corey Comparatore. That was the
Oh,
firefighter.
okay. And all the local news that I've seen, his
Mm-hmm.
picture wasn't he wasn't I don't want to say memorialized, but he was, nothing about him was on the news
Okay. I
from what
mean,
I've seen.
I've seen him, and I had to look up his name real quick, but they made mention. But yeah, the primary emphasis is on the person that the Secret Service
Right.
had a challenge to protect, and that's why
Well,
the Secret Service
so
director
that,
has resigned.
yeah, I understand that. I get it. It would have been bad if, well, in any case, it would have been bad. You said they dropped the ball in protecting a certain person. Secret Service is there is to protect everyone.
Mm, mm, yeah, but
So
what? See,
which makes mention of one person is idolized, but someone lost their life, which
but
fights for this country.
see, what I've heard something different. You know,
Mm. Oh
what I've
yeah, I mean that's just my perspective.
yeah, they should be there to protect everyone. They coordinate with law enforcement, local law
Yeah,
enforcement, to serve and protect. But
sure.
Secret Service, their primary goal is to
I
protect the
absolutely
quote unquote more important person.
absolutely. And if you take out a threat, you are actually protecting and serving everyone.
Mm.
What if he, the young man that attempted to shoot, Mr. Trump, just started firing in the crowd?
Well, that's why they took him out as soon as
Well,
they were
that
able.
no, yeah, no, that's what I'm getting at. Yeah, maybe the intentions. That's another perspective, and I wouldn't want that to happen. Of course, this young man just like, well, I'm not exactly sure if I'm gonna, make this. I'm just gonna start. I'm gonna disrupt, and I'm
Hmm.
going to do something in the crowd.
Hmm.
Well, yeah, Secret Service is there to protect everyone. Would they have covered Donald? Yeah, of course, but they would
Hmm.
have tried to minimize any other threats to that. So that's all I'm getting at. I know that priority is to protect, an elected official or
Hmm.
former elected official, but the global stance is to protect everyone
You know,
because it's
I
in conjunction. Yeah, it's in conjunction with the local police and things of that nature. I get it, but no, they found out where the sniper was. I don't know, man. I found it very not odd, but it was one shot and then you heard return fire
hmm
rather quickly. I'm
I
like,
heard
wow.
4 shots, and then I heard a return fire of like 5, 6, 7 shots.
Oh, so the young man shot off 4 shots?
That's how it sounded to me. I mean,
No.
I could be in error because I mean, we've seen this thing a couple of times on YouTube
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to actually being there and being able to hear directions that shots are coming from and whatnot.
Right. No,
But
it
yeah.
just sounded like, okay, he got off a shot or two and
Hmm.
immediately, it wasn't like, oh, where is he? It wasn't that. It was like pow and like, oh, he was dead. Seconds, not minutes afterwards.
So going back to that idea of being in your own home, in your castle,
Mm-hmm.
and being cuffed up
Yep.
because somebody has to exercise authority over
Yep.
the situation, over you and the situation.
Yep.
That has to, on some level, feel very emasculating. Like it's taking your manhood away
Uh,
in a country that is continually working on from a black male voter outreach, black males, and
So let me
diminishing
put it
them
this,
in many
yeah,
different ways,
yeah,
micro and macro.
let me put it this way. Yeah, possibly for a moment, but not for a lifetime. What I get at that is I'm more of a man from being compliant and being more in control and letting certain people think that they have an upper hand, um, so that I can continue living. It's a discernment piece. If it was something that happened all the time, yeah, it would be a detriment. But this was one time.
By
Uh,
2025, they make it happen all.
well, no, I don't. I mean, I think we'll be, hopefully, things that what you're doing right now is bringing awareness, but then after awareness, you bring action. Um, I really think outside of reading, you have to execute. So what I'm meaning by the being emasculated and stuff like that, uh, it's situational. Emasculation or manhood is a mindset again. So, which is what I heard from. I got a barber who um um was in the prison, in the penal system. So he's been out for a few, years, but it was a mind thing. And I'll give you a situation. So he works at a barbershop and he said, it was a situation, I think he was cursing, and the person that owns the shop was like, hey man, chill cursing, but he said it in front of other people. However, the owner curses all the time in front of people. So what he mentioned, so yeah, he said, you know what? I felt disrespected. I felt, he didn't say emasculated, but it was like, listen, we're both men. We could have talked it out, and it didn't happen that way. And that had been, this is kind of the last point of reference where it's like, you know what, I've had enough. So instead of going toe to toe and physically being, he battled, or not battled, he solved or resolved, made some resolve in his mind, and just decided to move on and get his own shop and make his own opportunity. Handcuffs, I don't have that authority. And again, I also have to look at it from their perspective. I've seen situations where, I'm just going to be very blunt, you should shut the heck up when there's hot situations. But when you want to continue to talk and flame and go back and forth, sometimes you do just need to chill, peace out, and sit down until the matters can be resolved or cool down. When you're coming into, and I had these conversations with my son, because he'll say, if only they did this or that. I can agree in certain amounts, because I see a lot of videos where you should just stop in certain situations. Because I'm not going to sit here and make excuses for law enforcement that abuse that authority. But in certain incidents, you see that you should just shut up for a minute. You really should just take a pause, because that can de-escalate the situation. If I would have went back and forth and ranted and raved, I may have gotten put in a squad car and roughed up somewhere and left in Inglewood and had to walk back. So instead of doing all that, I was just calm, was in handcuffs for not even more than 3 or 4 minutes. After that, I was let go, and I didn't even hear what the officer said. I didn't need to. I was in my own head, and I said, I just want to get out of these cuffs, and that's it. I didn't have to press charges. I didn't do anything, and I'm here today. So I've seen other situations where it hasn't been, where you're a little too mouthy, or you think that you have to have the last word. To me, that's not being a man. That's, again, to me, that's not being a man. Now, that's not all the situations. I've seen just degenerate cops and enforcement that just want to abuse authority and just say, well, this is what I'm going to do without adhering to the law. So I've seen it both ways, but for me to stay on this earth and finish raising kids, my discernment worked. And I think that's attributed more to being a man than a male. Your gender. And that's a difference. Male and man are different, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah.
So some of the questions, what you mean, like about, and I'm not an owner of a weapon, so I'm coming from a different perspective. And I also know that in different states, it's different mentalities. Like in Indiana, you carry around, you walk around. In Texas, you walk around. It's normal. Here in Illinois, it's not like that. And then I guess in VA and DC and in those in Maryland, I'm not exactly sure. So there's also different cultures of or states or cities where you are. So you can't just do blanket no guns or certain gun controls. It is certain microcosms that you got to tweak and tailor, but there are also some generalizations that it shouldn't. If I have a DUI, I can't get a license. And certain, if I have certain mental or certain impairments, I can't drive.
Right.
That should also constitute possession of a gun or a weapon. And there's certain temporary, if this happens, then okay, I can't do this or that. I gotta wait a year. I gotta wait 9 months. But I'm on a list, so I may need to check in every month or every 3 months or something like that. Hey, I've lost that right. So, yeah. Again, I understand it for protection, maybe for sport, but other than that, I'm not saying I don't have a use for it, but I haven't been drawn to possess. That may be changing, because most people use it as insurance, just for protection, or if I get into a situation. But you still have to have the right mindset in using this type of, because this type of thing could be fatal.
Right. Well, on that note, we've gone over about 9 minutes or so, but it's definitely an important conversation to have. We should probably loop back to this again and talk about it. But yeah, man, until next time, appreciate you joining us.
Yeah. I'll be ready next month and probably want to be mobile, and I'll have the technology all installed. So yeah, we should be good. But no, this was good, and stay tuned for the podcast too that's coming out as well.
Right, Sherlock Jones.
Just find just where are you and what are you trying to find out. That's what it is. So that's where we are. So yep. But yeah, we're 10 minutes over, probably due to me and this technical difficulties. But yeah, this is more to come. Yep.
All right. Appreciate you. Take care. Have a good day. Good night, everybody.